Ever wondered how the Romans predicted the future? They relied heavily on divination and augury. Now let's delve into the fascinating world of ancient Roman augurs. These individuals were esteemed within society, carrying the significant responsibility of deciphering the gods' will through the observation of birds. Birds were considered divine messengers, their flight patterns and formations holding symbolic significance. The augurs would carefully monitor these patterns, interpreting them to forecast future events. The flight of an eagle, for instance, might be seen as a favorable omen, while a gathering of crows could signal impending conflict or disaster. This method of divination was not merely superstition, it was an integral part of Roman decision-making. The augurs' interpretations could determine the course of military campaigns, the election of political leaders, and even the construction of buildings. They played a crucial role in guiding the Roman people, providing them a sense of direction and certainty in uncertain times. But it wasn't only about observing birds in flight. Augurs also examined the entrails of sacrificed animals, particularly the liver, to seek signs from the gods. Each detail, from the size and color of the liver to the presence of any unusual marks, was meticulously analyzed to draw conclusions about the future. So the Romans held birds and their behaviors in high regard, considering them messengers of future events. And through this we glimpse a society deeply intertwined with the natural world, where divine messages were perceived in the flight of birds and the entrails of sacrifices. Did you know that the Romans had a festival where priests ran through the streets striking women with animal hides? Yes, you heard that right. This was not a scene from a bizarre dream but a significant event in the Roman calendar known as Lupercalia, celebrated each year in mid-February. Lupercalia had roots in ancient Roman mythology. It was believed to honor Lupercus, the god of shepherds, and Romulus and Remus, the legendary founders of Rome, who were suckled by a she-wolf in a cave called Lupercal. The celebration involved intriguing rituals that might seem quite peculiar to us today. The festivities began with the sacrifice of goats and a dog at the Lupercal cave by the Luperci, an order of Roman priests. The Luperci then cut the hides of the sacrificed animals into strips. Dressed in the skins of these animals and smeared with their blood, the priests would run around the city, playfully striking women who willingly lined up along their path with the hide strips. This was believed to bestow fertility and purification, particularly for pregnant women or those trying to conceive. It is fascinating how different societies, cultures, and times interpret symbols and rituals. Lupercalia, with its unique practices, was a quintessential part of Roman society and its belief system, reflecting the Romans' deep-seated ties to their mythology and their gods. Lupercalia, an unusual festival by today's standards, was a key event in the Roman calendar, deeply rooted in their mythology. The Romans believed in the protective power of household spirits, known as Lares and Penates. A fascinating blend of tradition, faith, and superstition, these spirits were thought to hold significant sway over the daily lives of those who revered them. In the bustling heart of ancient Rome, households would often have dedicated spaces, typically small shrines, to honor these spirits. The Lares, considered to be ancestral spirits, were believed to watch over the home and the family within it. They were protectors of the hearth, the household, and the fields, safeguarding all that was essential for survival. On the other hand, the Penates were spirits of the pantry. They were thought to ensure the family's sustenance, guarding the larder and the household provisions. It was a common practice to offer the Penates the first taste of any meal, a symbolic gesture of gratitude and reverence. Worship of these household gods was an integral part of daily life. Rituals often involved offerings of food and wine, and special feasts were held in their honor. These acts of worship were deeply personal, a testament to the Romans' belief in the intimate connection between the spiritual realm and the mundane world. Interestingly, the concept of household gods was not unique to Rome. It echoed across different cultures and civilizations, manifesting in various forms. However, in the Roman context, it was deeply ingrained, shaping their culture, their rituals, and their understanding of the world. In every Roman household, the Lares and Penates were revered, serving as spiritual guardians of the home. The Romans were known for their secretive cults, one of the most intriguing being the Mithraic mysteries. This cult centered around the worship of the god Mithras, a deity often associated with light, truth, and honor. The cult of Mithras was not for everyone. It was exclusive, often limited to men of certain social standings, and the initiation ceremonies were not for the faint-hearted. The initiation rituals into the Mithraic mysteries were a spectacle of symbolism and secrecy. Each initiate had to pass through 7 grades, each associated with a different planet and its respective deity. These grades ranged from the first, the Raven associated with Mercury, to the 7th, the Father, associated with Saturn. The initiations were rigorous, involving trials of courage, endurance, and fidelity. The rituals and ceremonies weren't held in grand temples or public spaces. Instead, they took place in the subterranean sanctuaries known as Mithria. These underground chambers, often constructed beneath public buildings, were typically small, only able to accommodate around 30 people. This reinforced the cult's air of exclusivity and mystery. The Mithraic mysteries remain a captivating enigma of the ancient Roman world. Despite the cult being widespread across the empire, very little written evidence survives. This has left archaeologists and historians to piece together its beliefs and practices from the remnants of Mithria and the iconic iconography they contain. The Mithraic mysteries remain one of the most intriguing aspects of Roman religious life, shrouded in secrecy and exclusivity. An unusual Roman ritual involved a group of men known as the Nasones, who would whip the statue of a god named Priapus. The Nasones were a unique group within the Roman community, annually gathering for a peculiar tradition. They would whip the statue of Priapus, a god who was a symbol of fertility, prosperity, and protection. This whipping ritual, while seeming bizarre to us today, was of great significance to the Romans. Each strike on the statue was believed to invigorate Priapus, stirring his divine energy to ensure bountiful crops and successful harvests. The ritual had a strong connection to the Roman agricultural calendar, typically taking place at the beginning of the planting season. It was a plea to the divine, a ritualistic request for fertile fields and plentiful yields. Despite its peculiarity, this ritual held a crucial role in the agricultural cycle of the Roman community. The Nasones ritual, although odd, was an integral part of Roman agricultural life, believed to ensure the fertility of their fields. Romans had a profound belief in the spirits of the deceased, known as manes, and restless spirits called lemures. These ethereal entities were not just figments of folklore, they were an integral part of the Roman spiritual landscape. Manes were believed to be the benevolent spirits of the departed, revered and cherished in Roman households. These spirits were thought to look over their living kin, offering protection and guidance from the beyond. On the other hand, lemures were the stuff of nightmares. These were restless, malevolent entities believed to be the tormented souls of those who met unfortunate, untimely ends. They were feared for their potential to bring misfortune and calamity upon those who crossed their path. To keep these spirits appeased, the Romans performed special rituals, the most notable of which was the Lemuria. This was a ceremony held annually on the nights of May 9th, 11th, and 13th. The head of the household would rise at midnight barefoot and toss black beans over his shoulder as an offering to the lemures while reciting a special incantation. It was believed that this ritual would keep the malevolent spirits at bay, ensuring peace and prosperity for the household. For the Romans, the world of the spirits was very much a part of their daily life, influencing their actions and rituals. The line between the living and the dead was not a barrier but a gateway, a connection to their ancestors and a safeguard against the unseen perils of the spirit world. The slave rebellion led by Spartacus resulted in a brutal display of power by the Romans. A gladiator, Spartacus found himself at the helm of an uprising that would shake the foundations of the mighty Roman Empire. This rebellion, known as the Third Servile War, was a significant event in Rome's history, as thousands of enslaved people rose, demanding their freedom. Spartacus and his followers fought valiantly, but the might of Rome proved too strong. In the aftermath of the rebellion, the retribution was swift and severe. The Romans, seeking to quell any future insurrections, decided to make a horrifying spectacle of the captured rebels. The Appian Way, Rome's important and heavily trafficked highway, became the gruesome stage for this display. Thousands of rebels were crucified along the roadside, their bodies left to rot as a grisly testament to the consequences of challenging Rome. Imagine the sight: a procession of crosses lining the way, each bearing the body of a rebel, a silent witness to the ferocity of the Roman response. This spectacle was not only a punishment but also a warning to any who might dare to rise against the empire. The crucifixions following Spartacus's rebellion were not just a demonstration of Roman power, but also a stark reminder of their ruthlessness. In the face of rebellion, Rome did not flinch, instead choosing to quash resistance with a brutal show of strength. The crucifixions following Spartacus's rebellion served as a chilling reminder of the power and ruthlessness of the Roman Empire. The cult of Cybele included priests known as Galli, who engaged in frenzied dancing during religious ceremonies. The Galli, these priests of Cybele, were a sight to behold in ancient Rome. They were the life and soul of the religious rites of Cybele, a powerful mother goddess who was deeply revered within the Roman Empire. The Galli made their presence known with their vibrant attire, adorned with jewelry and vibrant colors, and their unmissable ecstatic dances. Imagine a scene of high energy, of rhythm and movement, of music and chanting. The Galli would lose themselves in the dance, their bodies swaying and twirling to the beat of the drums. The intensity would build, their energy radiating outwards, captivating all onlookers. This was not merely a dance for entertainment. It was a sacred ritual, a form of worship, an act of devotion to Cybele. The Galli danced with such fervor that they often reached a state of ecstatic trance. This trance was believed to bring them closer to the divine, to Cybele herself, bridging the gap between the mortal and the divine. Their self-flagellation, a part of these rituals, might seem shocking to us today. However, in the context of their beliefs, it was seen as a means of purification, a sacrifice, a way to reach higher spiritual states. The Galli and their ecstatic rituals were a fascinating aspect of Roman religious life, reflecting their diverse and complex belief systems. Romans believed in the protective power of amulets and charms. They were an integral part of the Roman way of life, carrying deep-rooted beliefs and superstitions. These amulets were crafted in a myriad of designs and materials, each with a specific purpose. One of the most common types was the bulla, a hollow charm often filled with magical substances. Given to children at birth, it was believed to safeguard them from malevolent spirits until they reached adulthood. Similarly, the fascinum, a phallic symbol, was hung around the necks of infants and soldiers as a protector against the evil eye. The Romans also wore amulets to attract good fortune. For instance, the cornicello, a horn-shaped charm, was worn to ensure prosperity and luck. It was not uncommon to see people wearing amulets shaped like body parts, designed to promote healing and ward off illnesses specific to those parts. The significance of these amulets extended beyond mere superstition. They were a part of the Roman identity, a reflection of their deep-seated beliefs in the supernatural. They were not just decorative pieces but tangible reminders of the unseen forces that the Romans believed were at play in their lives. These amulets were more than mere trinkets. They were an embodiment of hope, protection and luck. They were an essential armor against the unseen and unknown, a testament to the Romans' enduring faith in the power of the supernatural. Amulets played a crucial role in Roman life, providing a sense of security against the unseen forces they believed surrounded them. The Romans had a unique method of dealing with their enemies. They used cursing tablets, or defixiones. This practice was a form of ancient magic, where individuals would inscribe curses onto thin sheets of lead. These curses ranged from personal disputes to professional rivalries, and even romantic entanglements. The lead sheets were then folded or rolled, often pierced with nails, symbolizing the binding nature of the curses. These defixiones were typically buried in locations associated with the gods of the underworld, or in places where the intended recipient of the curse was likely to pass. The purpose of these cursing tablets was to invoke supernatural forces to act against individuals who were perceived as threats or rivals. This practice reflects the belief that the gods could be petitioned to intervene in human affairs, and that they could be persuaded to harm others at the request of their devotees. It's important to note that while this practice may seem dark or vengeful to us, it was a legitimate part of religious life for many in the Roman world. The creation of a defixio was not considered an act of evil, but rather a way of seeking justice or protection from the gods. Cursing tablets reveal a darker side of Roman society, where supernatural forces were invoked to bring about harm to one's enemies. The ancient Romans had a rich tapestry of traditions and beliefs, some of which might seem odd or intriguing to us today. We've journeyed through the fascinating world of divination and augury, where the flight patterns of birds were interpreted as omens. We've raced through the streets during the Lupercalia festival, felt the spiritual presence of household gods, Lares and Penates, and delved into the secretive cult of Mithras. We've also witnessed the unusual Nasones ritual, acknowledged the belief in spirits of the deceased known as manes and lemurs, and revisited the grim aftermath of Spartacus's rebellion. The ecstatic dance of Cybele's priests, the belief in protective amulets, and the use of cursing tablets have all been part of our exploration. These traditions, while odd to our modern sensibilities, provide a fascinating insight into the complex and diverse world of the ancient Romans. They remind us of a civilization that, although long gone, continues to captivate and intrigue us today.